Israel, Gaza, and Lebanon. There is so much we could discuss, but it is impossible to address everything tonight. We should, however, talk about one important aspect, not the war itself, but how people talk about the war, specifically the media and some politicians. There are biases underneath the coverage of Israel that need to be called out and named as unacceptable. In that vein, I would like to name 5 truths that, if acknowledged, would change the conversation to a more appropriate and complex understanding of what we are seeing. In our state of Massachusetts, I'm going to address these remarks specifically to Senator Warren, Representative Presley, and others who assume an awful lot about Israel. Truth number 1, Israel has a right to exist, supposed allies pronounce, but there is a strange assumption behind that statement. You don't get to presume the authority to decide that Israel does or does not have the right to exist. No one speaks about any other country that way. You don't presume the authority to have an opinion or whether or not Pakistan has the right to exist, or Libya, or Costa Rica for that matter. What makes you think you have the authority to grant the only Jewish country its right to exist after World War II? Why do you think my family needs your approval? Truth number 2. As devastating as the humanitarian disaster is in Gaza, and it is horrible, Israel isn't making terrorists by bombing Gaza. They unfortunately are already made. Palestinians have been educated to hate Jews and Israel from birth. It is sad but true. Yes, this war will have long-term effects, solidifying this conflict for decades. But 100% of the responsibility does not lie only on Israel. Hamas has been brainwashing the population for decades, much like Hitler Youth did in Nazi Germany. I can show you a video of Hamas children's TV that would chill your bones. Where is the accountability of Palestinians in making terrorists? Truth number 3, I saw a sign on a lawn in our town that said, not anti-Israel, not anti-Palestine, anti-killing children. It makes it sound that people who support Israel are pro-killing children. But here is a dose of reality. Today, Israel faces a new version of Sophie's choice. Israelis don't have the moral luxury of simply being against killing children and make this a black and white situation. The horrible choice is you either let them kill your children or you shoot back at them hiding behind their children. And Israel has to do this again and again in a way that actually hits the target. Life is not so simple. Truth number 4, the double standards around Israel are appalling. This is not whataboutism, it's moral hypocrisy and anti-Semitism. When 2 people were shot in a church in northern Gaza on December 16th, the Pope and everyone else condemned it. The IDF, by the way, said it was not them. When Hezbollah shot at a church in northern Israel on December 26th, 9 Israeli soldiers were wounded rescuing an elderly man. The Pope had nothing to say, and the world was silent. This is anti-Israel bias. Where was the worldwide outrage when Assad murdered over 300,000 Syrians, including using chemical weapons? I know where our community was. We went to a local mosque in a show of solidarity. We did the same thing when there was a mass shooting at a mosque in New Zealand. We will continue to do so because it is the right thing to do in the eyes of God. To say the least, however, the same kind of empathy for Israeli lives has not been reciprocated. Where is the moral integrity Israel did not start this war, but it is only when Israelis respond that there is constant coverage and second guessing. It's not just that Israel is held to a double standard, it's that Israel is held to an impossible standard, and other countries that also receive US dollars are given a free pass. Truth number 5. Anti-Zionism may not exactly be the same as anti-Semitism, but there's a 90% overlap. If you as an academic have to go back before the Holocaust and cherry pick the Pittsburgh Platform and even George Washington's letter to Newport for justification, then you are misrepresenting history. The Satmar Hasidim, who believe you cannot have a Jewish state without the Mashiach, do not represent the overwhelming majority of Jews. Jewish people have been saying next year in Jerusalem, and including prayers for the end of the exile for over 2,000 years. Zionism is the modern political version of an ancient and constant emotional reality for Jews that has existed in various forms for centuries. My heart is in the east, but I am at the edge of the west, wrote Yehuda Halevi in 12th century Spain. When you deny Jewish people's love for their indigenous homeland and downgrade it to a recent phenomenon, you cut out an essential part of Judaism. And if you look at the anti-Zionist tropes and rhetoric, they are indistinguishable from the anti-Jewish ones. More to the point, you don't get to define my Judaism for me. For me, being a Zionist is part of being Jewish, inseparably so. Please know I am not here to justify everything the state of Israel does. Netanyahu, Ben-Gvir, Smotrich, and company are racist and awful. The thousands of Israelis protesting in the streets against them before the war are right and need to continue. Not only are these men incompetent, but they are arsonists. They need to go ASAP. But these corrupt individuals do not make Israel de facto a criminal state, which seems to be the assumption on many college campuses. Much like the United States, Israel has its serious and dangerous democratic struggles. All of this puts the trial at the United Nations on whether or not Israel is guilty of genocide in a much clearer light. The UN has condemned Israel more than all of the other nations on the earth combined. That in itself reveals a bias. And if it weren't for Iron Dome, a genocide would have been perpetrated against Israel many times over, as rockets are aimed specifically at civilian populations with the intent to destroy Israel. Where is the trial against Iran? The world's bigotry is showing, and we need more allies, not more critics. As for us, what can we do as a congregation? We can make our representatives' phones ring off the hook and fill their email boxes defending the nuanced truth about Israel. I've sent these remarks to Senator Warren and Representative Presley. I never get emails back. We can donate to bolster Israel's bomb shelter system and emergency services. We can let Israelis who defend democracy know through social media that we are with them. We can educate our kids and our grandkids to prepare them for the world. And when possible, we can show our solidarity by going to Israel. Am Yisrael Chai. Shabbat Shalom.